Well, look what we have here today. Kenmore 300 series direct drive washing machine. I just got this into the shop today. This is actually my next door neighbor's machine. I have it in here for now because I need to fix an issue that it's having. So I'm going to do that today, but first let me show you the machine. So you got your two water levels, small and super. Very basic. You don't have a temperature selector. Well, you do have a temperature selector, but it's built into the cycle timer. So you got to set it to a certain amount of minutes to get a different temperature. And considering you don't even have hot wash, you just have warm and cold on all the cycles, which yeah, it's kind of unfortunate, but at least you have warm for towels and stuff like that. So and very all around very low. And this is the inside. Very basic, no bleach dispenser, straight vane agitator, and yeah, you got the newer style spiral tub. It's the gray speckled porcelain coated tub. So very basic, not much to it. Here's the model number and serial number. According to the serial number, this machine was manufactured in April of 2007. So 11 years old. And the issue that I need to fix that it's having with it is, I've got it plugged into the extension cord momentarily so I can show you here. The problem we're having is when you go to set it on a cycle and you start it up, excuse the background noise. I don't know if the camera picks it up or not, but you can hear the valve buzzing and the water's dripping from it. So that indicates the fill valve is working. So, and it works on both warm and cold. But when you go to set it to the spin cycle, nothing happens. And when it fills up for the wash cycle and it satisfies the pressure switch, nothing happens. The motor doesn't come on, it won't agitate, it won't spin, won't drain, nothing. So I've already taken this control panel apart just to identify the cause of the problem, and I've already determined that it's the lid switch which is not actuating properly. Yeah, look at that, heat wave patterns are the, I'm not sure what that is actually, but it's making a cool pattern on the lid. The lid switch, which is located under here, is not actuating properly like it should. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this control panel up and show you the inside here so you can see what the problem is. So give me a minute to do that. Okay, so I've got the panel open. I just used a little scraper here to pry open the clips, which are holding the control panel down to the cabinet. So now you can see the inside here. Here is the lid switch. Now this, it's kind of a funny thing because the lid switch isn't actually internally broken, but the problem we're having is that it's not actuating when the lid closes like it's supposed to. So what I found is that if you pull it forward, like towards me, if you do that, you should hear a slight faint little click, which is the switch actuating against the hinge. So let me show you here. If I pull it forward, you hear that faint click of the switch actuating. But if you push it back, it disengages it. So that's why the machine's not running on any of the cycles. So so what I'm going to probably end up doing is probably just bypassing this switch for now, so that way I can take the cabinet off and actually run a cycle through it and clean it up and all that. So, but yeah, we've determined the cause. I already tested it out with it pushed or pulled forward, and turns out that is the cause of the problem. So what I'm going to do is probably cut the wires here and just kind of twist them together with a wire nut or something, or I don't know, maybe splice them together and electrical tape them. We'll see. So got a little wiring diagram there. Got your water level switch, just, you know, in case anybody's interested. There's your timer, wires, very basic, nothing to it. So what we're going to need to do is take a flathead screwdriver and pry these clips on each side and disconnect this harness in order to get the cabinet off. So give me a minute to do that. Okay, just to show you real quick here, what I did was cut the wires leading to the lid switch, and I taped them together and just kind of spliced them, you know, so they're just tied together like that. And I taped off the wire ends to this, you know, just to be extra safe. And I've got it in this little U, set to this little U mark, which is actually what I consider a suds return cycle, where it will agitate without water in it. So let me pull this out and just show you here. So now it runs. I'll put it on the spin just to show you here. It's gonna disengage the agitator and probably take a second for it to disengage the neutral drain and engage the spin clutch. So here we go. So yay! I fixed it, sort of, you know, just kind of a temporary fix for now, till I can, I mean, I don't know, I might just leave it. I might just tell them to leave it like that, even though you can't stop it when you open the lid. But, you know, I mean, you're not going to be sticking your arm into there while it's spinning like this, unless you're safety third like me or Jay. But yeah, so I got it to work. And now I can hook up the garden hose right there and hook it up to the hose right here. Hook it up to the cold, and we can start a filling cycle. And I can now start cleaning this off. So yep, see you when I get to that. Okay, so I've got the cabinet all off of there, and I've actually hooked up the garden hose to the water inlet hose for the washer, and I hooked it to the cold valve, so that way we get water. And yeah, I'm gonna do a pretty good cleanup job on this one. Actually, under here though, you have your pump and motor, transmission, back here, tranny and clutch, all that good stuff. Under here, it's actually not that dirty. It's actually pretty, sorry, I didn't know I zoomed in there. There's not much rust or, you know, or any real major stuff under here that, you know, be hard to get up. Really just a bunch of hair and dust from like the dog fur and all that. So yeah, really not much to it. So the pressure hose, capacitor, so all that good stuff, water valve. So yeah, makes me wonder if that's actually capable, if This is actually, if you can actually do a warm rinse modification on this, looks like it's the same sort of setup, wiring setup that is. Not sure. But anyway, without further ado, let's get to it. So I'll start just, I'll probably just wipe this down and clean it off and clean all the dirt off of this here, and clean the dirt and hair and dust, everything off of there, and then I'll come back when that's all done, and I'll start a cycle on there, and we'll run a cleaning cycle through here. So yep, see you when I get back. On second thought, I decided to do a little time-lapse recording. Here we go. Alright, I got most of the dirt off, at least what was on the top here. Got that mostly cleaned out. Looks much better now than it did. Some of that kind of dropped into the tub, but that's okay, it'll wash out. Or hopefully it'll wash out. So I kind of did a brief wipe down of the base just to kind of get rid of the most of the hair and dust and everything that was kind of built up on it. And yeah. So got it set to super. I'm going to start cycle, probably just do 10 minutes because the hot water valve's not really hooked up to the garden hose right now, so I can only get cold. So here we go. I already had to let some of the air out of the line. So let that kind of fill up. I guess I'll wipe that out while it's filling too, just so it's not all floating around in there. Okay, we're coming up home stretch. Looks like. Any second now. All the little goodies floating at the top there. Set on super. Yay, we have agitation. Or should I say agglation? That pump that's vibrating on there. Sometimes they do that, I guess. That's a good sign. Clutch isn't turning. I'll just let that aggolate for a while. I added some of the cleaner that I was using in that wash bucket there, kind of white, you know, down the top of that there. Kind of added that to the water there, and help it agitate the stuff around. Coming up on the last few minutes there. Yeah, put a lot of electrical tape on that. Should be hitting the 2-minute mark any minute, any second now. Yeah, there it goes. Stopped. And let that be. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good thing too that the neutral drain engaged and didn't slip, because you know, this machine sat for quite a long time without being used. So yeah, I'm glad that kind of mitigated itself, I guess. All right. See if we can catch the clutch drum here. Can't get a good view of that. Tub is now in spin. Get a far away shot. Come all the amazing fill, people. Even Amazing Phil himself should see this, because this is quality action that you don't get today anymore. Drained out. better wipe the rest of that up before I let it fill up any further. Okay, just started doing the rinse just a minute ago or so. So, kind of past that a little bit. Yeah, she looks good. She looks good. That pump's not making as much of a chatter now. I think now since it's pumped out the water on the ground. So yeah, just kind of had it hooked through there. Put the little gooseneck plastic piece, put the little plastic gooseneck piece on there and just kind of let it drain out onto the ground. So yeah, and I got the cold hose hooked there. Got it plugged into the extension cord. So yeah, she's sounding good. Clutch is still. I think any minute now we should be hitting the drain cycle. Okay, here we go. Pumping out the rinse water, somewhat sudsy rinse water. Wiping off any leftover junk on there. Other than that, she looks pretty good. Flood in that area, but that's alright. I mean, it'll absorb into the ground, or the ground will absorb it, rather, over time. Just like that. There we go. I was wondering when the spray rinse was going to hit. It's a little late. There's a bunch of crap floating around in there. It's kind of hard to pick up, I know. That's a pretty interesting spray rinse sequence right there, if I might say so, myself. not sure what that knocking noise is. Not sure. I'll just let that finish its cycle. Alright, well, she's all back together, and yep, I wiped her down, gave her a good cleaning, and yeah, she looks much better than she did before. So, very happy with the results. I'm happy that it was just a very simple issue with the lid switch, you know, that was easily fixable. So I'm glad I saved this machine from being thrown into the landfill, you know, by just fixing a simple wire connection. So yeah, now she runs great, as she always did. Now stay tuned for tomorrow.